Precision medicine holds great promise for treating genetic diseases, such as certain types of cancers. To drive progress, Harvard Business School Executive Education has developed a new program, Accelerating Innovation in Precision Medicine, which brings together leaders from business, science, medicine, and technology to explore new models for advancing personalized medicine. The program takes place on the Boston campus in September. Learn more by clicking the banner or visiting hbs.me/precision. That's hbs.me/precision.
Blog Talk Radio. Any given day, Rosewood Boat Landing is pretty quiet. But all Tammy Downs can hear...
It gnaws at me. All the time it gnaws at me.
...is her mind racing. Her father was killed here.
Why? What was he here for? Who was this person?
For 21 years.
There's got to be answers. Somebody has to have answers.
She's never gotten any.
We get a lead, we can run with
Richland County Sheriff's Department Deputy Chief Stan Smith.
In this particular case, we have a daughter who is very involved and very persistent.
Has been involved with this case for about 7 years.
That motivates me because I'd very much like to solve it for her.
You have to go back to 1996.
This is Jack L. Robinson.
August 17th, around 6 o'clock that night. In the police report, 3 witnesses say the 65-year-old met up with someone who he appeared to know at the landing, and the two walked out of view into a grassy clearing.
They would report later that they heard Jack Robinson screaming for help, said something about, I'll give you my money, I'll give you my money. And then moments later, Robinson staggers from that area into the parking lot holding his abdomen, and he collapsed. He'd been stabbed.
Robinson had lost too much blood. He died at the hospital. Because of the people in the parking lot, investigators were able to create a composite sketch. But in all this time, that's all they've been able to do.
The evidence is still in our property room. We pulled Mr. Robinson's shirt, his clothing, his fingernail scrapings from autopsy. We've tried to get DNA. We just hadn't had any luck.
Chief Smith says part of the problem is the suspect, an Hispanic man who was in his 20s at the time, could have been living here illegally. Smith says they looked into the possibility that the two could have been romantically involved, but couldn't find any evidence that supported that. Downs says her father was a family man. Robinson spent 21 years in the Air Force. After his retirement, he worked at Moncrief Hospital at Fort Jackson. He was born in the Olympia neighborhood, not too far from where he died.
When you've got somebody in your life and they're a part of you and they're with your grandchildren and you know, and you love them and they love you, and then to know that they're just taken away just by somebody just, you know, taking a knife with their hand and just stabbing you to death for why? You know, that is my big thing. Why? Why were you here? And I need those answers. I need to know why, because this is not some place that he would be. This is not some place he would come to.
Downs' search for answers has led her through the internet, a TV show, and a book. In that time, her children have grown and she's gotten older, but the gnawing has never gone away.
All I can do is just hope and pray to God that one day that, you know, through all of this today, that maybe this could be my day and the right person is out there and they're watching. Until
that day, she will spend every chance she gets telling her father's story. Again, this is the man who investigators say killed Jack Robinson 21 years ago. Today, he would be in his mid-40s. If you know anything about this case, please call Crime Stoppers at 1-888-CRIME-SC. There is reward money available. From the newsroom, Grace Joyle, ABC Columbia News.
Love in your peaceful arms, Lord, know my grateful heart. Shadowed in calm by your watchful eye, Lord, know my grateful heart. There's no hiding Lord, know my grateful heart.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Paige Roberts Show. It is Wednesday, March the 7th, 2018. Tonight's show is a little bit different from what I have been doing, and it is Jack L. Robinson cold case with Tammy Robinson Scott Downs. Now, before I get into anything else, I know I played that MP3 at the very beginning, and that was from Grace Doyle from Cold Case. And so before I bring Tammy on, I do have on the phone with me Chief Stan Smith, Deputy of Cold Case Unit, Commander of the Investigative Division of the Richland County Sheriff's Department, who is an investigator that is assigned over this case. Chief Stan Smith, are you here with me?
I am, Paige. Glad to be with you.
Awesome. I do want to thank you again for coming on. I know you are probably a very busy man, so we do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come on tonight.
Sure thing. We take every opportunity to get information about these cases out to the public. This is another opportunity. So glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, you are the chief. Now, why don't you tell us, they know who you are, so why don't you just tell us what, what it is that you exactly do in your position?
I'm a deputy chief over the Criminal Investigative Division of the Richland County Sheriff's Department, which is in Columbia, South Carolina, obviously the capital, South Carolina. We have a pretty large department, about 700-man department, and I have about 175 folks under me in investigations, which includes just regular investigators. We have a forensic lab that has a DNA lab. We have a ballistics section that does firearms and tool mark analysis. I have an aviation unit, a victim services unit, special victims unit, and so on. So it's a pretty large group of people that work under my command. I have a lot of supervisors. So obviously, I don't do anything just by myself.
Right.
And through the years, I have been involved with the cold case unit as well.
Now, how was you introduced to Jack L. Robinson's case? How did you acquire that case?
After I became a major crime supervisor, probably about 15 years ago, one of my duties was to be involved with the cold case unit. We had a number of retired investigators on the unit at the time, and I became involved with that unit then. And this was one of the cases that we had looked at. It was a case obviously one of the cases we were interested in solving.
Now, as far as the information that you have on this case, and are you able to share some things with us? I mean, I don't know. I know sometimes people can't talk about these. I guess first, is this case still open? How does that work?
Yeah. Unless we've made an arrest on a murder case like this, it's never closed. We don't close them. There is no statute of limitations in South Carolina. So we could make an arrest tomorrow if we develop the suspect and develop probable cause.
Okay, so what are you doing to make sure that this case doesn't slip through the cracks? I mean, and I don't want to say slip through the cracks. I know that's probably a poor choice of words, but in ongoing case investigations, what is a daily thing that y'all do to keep these cases up and going? I'm sure it's a lot.
Obviously, when cold case investigations became sort of commonplace with departments across the nation, one of the first ways to solve them was through advances in forensics like DNA and that sort of thing. That's the first thing that we do when we look at these cold cases, to see if there's any old evidence that may have some possible, for instance, DNA potential. Unfortunately, in this case, that wasn't the case. So in this particular case, we had eyewitnesses and we had a composite drawing, and that's what's made it so difficult to solve this case, because there weren't forensics. Where a lot of cases are getting solved across the nation is with forensics, and in this case, we just didn't have that. So in answer to your original question, we try to get it out to somebody that knows about this, that remembers it, that this suspect talked to at the time and is willing to talk to us now.
I know I've watched over the years, and forensics such as DNA has just been an explosion of DNA technology that, I mean, cases like this, even beyond 1996, even as far back as 1980s, and stuff, have been solved because of DNA. It's just unreal how far along advanced DNA has come. You know, solving cases 30 years ago when they didn't have the DNA system set up. I mean, that's awesome.
In most departments have been successful, and we've solved some older cases like that as well. Did a pretty good job at retaining the evidence, and not knowing that 20 or 30 years in the future there was going to be such thing as DNA analysis. Again, unfortunately, in Jack Robinson's case, there was no DNA involved in it. This particular incident involved it was an acquaintance of Mr. Robinson. We're not sure how they knew each other. Some sort of dispute took place. A fight was witnessed, and the assailant used a knife and killed Jack Robinson and fled the scene. So there was no DNA able to be obtained at that time in this case.
To be processed. Do you think, and I know this is a 2020 question, do you think this case will ever be solved? But I guess you can't answer that for any case, actually, that's cold case.
I believe that there's a distinct possibility that it can be solved. And the reason why I believe that, and I always have believed it, this is what we call a disorganized crime, meaning that it doesn't appear that this was a premeditated murder. Some sort of dispute erupted. So this person did not cover his tracks, obviously, in anticipation of killing someone. He's just gotten lucky through the years. We believe that he's probably told somebody about this when he came in that night or the next day, and somebody knows about it. And that's the kind of thing we're looking for, somebody that's never had the willpower, if you will, to come forward with what they know, maybe out of fear, maybe not wanting to be involved. But that's how we believe this case can be solved.
Right. I believe that, too. How can Jack Robinson's story get on our program, I guess, like this, for now or nationwide? I know we need to solve this case, and if anybody out there has any information. I know Tammy has been working hard and doing that, and how can you and Richland County Sheriff's Office help her in getting this thing solved? I would like to give out your number, Chief, and if you have any information on this case, you can call him at the Cold Case Squad at 803-576-3073, and I hope I got that number right.
It's 3037. It's straight to my desk. So, yeah, you got it just about right.
30. All right.
37.
37. Got the last two backwards. Now, as far as the suspect, I know that y'all had one suspect that you were using in the very beginning. What happened with that? Can you tell us about that?
Well, that was an unfortunate situation where it was an aggressive attempt by some of the original detectives to try to make something happen, and without going into a whole lot of detail, that person was eliminated from being involved in this crime. There was just some similarities in another crime he committed. He had a link to that geographic area, but there were some holes in that particular effort, and not to be overly critical of those investigators, but that individual was not involved in this. But the individual that we're looking for was described as a Hispanic male, between 25 and 35, just sort of a wide range of age there. And he had on like sunglasses, round sunglasses, like pilots wear, that type of sunglass.
Mm-hmm.
He was a darker skin. He was definitely believed to be Hispanic. He had a mustache, about 160 pounds and about 5'10". And these three witnesses that saw him, the suspect, with Mr. Robinson, one of them was able to do a composite sketch that we've used through the years to try to get this person identified. And that's one of the biggest pieces of witness, evidence that we have is witness testimony. And virtually that's why this case has been so difficult to solve, because that's really the only evidence that we do have.
Mm-hmm.
This day and time, acquaintances talk to each other on smartphones or text, call.
Yes, sir.
This is before all that, So we're not sure how Mr. Robinson knew his assailant. So this day and time, we might have some luck tracing some phone records and some emails and that kind of thing. But back in 1996, that we were just on the verge of some of that stuff. So he apparently met this assailant the old-fashioned way, and it's difficult for us to trace that.
Well, what can our viewing audience and what can we do on our part that would help?
Well, just getting the word out, and you never know who may hear this broadcast, for instance, or who may see it on the internet. And we've done a number of stories in the Columbia area. Tammy has just been tenacious of all our cold cases. I would have to say she is the most active survivor, family member, as far as really, trying to get something done, spending a lot of time and hours and reaching media outlets and pushing and we really would like to solve it for her. But just getting the word out. We need to hit the right person. The right person needs to see it, that knows about this crime, that knew who did it. And we believe firmly this man hasn't gone this long and not told somebody what he did. So just basically getting the word out. What we're doing right now, we believe, is the most effective tool to get a lead on this thing and get it solved.
Yes, sir, I agree. And truth be known, social media, Facebook and Twitter and all these places, I mean, if you keep putting that information out there, eventually, but like you said, I know people are scared sometimes in contacting, but if that's the case, if you want to remain anonymous, you can also call. There's a $1,000 reward and I think you can call Midland Crime Stoppers tip line at 1-800-CRIME South Carolina or SC. So
yes, it's 188-CRIME SC.
188-CRIME SC.
That's right.
So if you have any information on this case, please give them a call. And again, you don't have to give your name or anything like that.
That's great.
I am hoping so. I know I have Tammy on the other line, and I think she wanted to thank you for coming on tonight and helping us out with this. We do appreciate it. We don't find many people in your position, I guess, if that's what you want to say, that will come in and help like this, that who has been on this show. So again, I do appreciate you. Tammy, I think she wanted to come on and talk to you also, and to tell you thank you for coming on as well. Tammy, are you here with me?
I am. Hello, Chief Smith.
Hello, Tammy. How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with Paige and helping me again get Dad's story out. And like you said, it only takes one person to see the composite, to hear the story, and well, that's all I keep telling you. I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep on trucking to get this done.
This might be the one that does it. You never can tell.
I know. I just have to keep hoping. And you've done very well, and I appreciate it. And I thank you so much for coming on tonight.
We don't want to give up. We're going to keep at it.
I know. I have your writing in my book. We will solve it.
And I believe that.
Mm-hmm. I believe it too. Well, like I said, Chief, I know you're a busy man. Do you have anything you would like to say to our audience? And then
the only thing I'd leave you with is, the only thing I would leave you with is your audience not necessarily have to be limited to this case. There may be people out there that have information about other cases that haven't come forward for whatever reason, and this may provide them with the oomph to want to do the right thing and, get the conscience clear and help somebody solve something that's been grieving. Doesn't necessarily have to be this case. It could be other cases. The audience as vast as yours probably is, you got to believe there's somebody out there that fits that category. We'd urge them to come forward.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you again for coming on and talking with us. And like I said, I know you're busy, and we just appreciate everything that you do in helping this case, and anything we can do, we're right there with you.
Thank you for having me, Paige.
All right, man. You have a good night.
Can I ask Chief Smith a quick Chief, did Sergeant Eisenhower, did he ever get results back on that one spot that y'all had sent in, or is it still out there?
I think the results were negative, is what he was informing me. I talked to him about it today. If I understand correctly what you're talking about.
I guess there was a spot that was missed on a shirt or something, and y'all had sent it in for DNA. But whenever I saw you last and we spoke, I don't recall you telling me whether or not if y'all had got the information back yet.
He told me about a couple of things today that he reminded me of that he had done, and I believe that was one of them that he had learned that did not produce any results.
Okay. All right.
But Tammy, if you want to call me tomorrow, we can get Lieutenant Eisenhower on the phone and we can confirm when he got that information.
Call you tomorrow. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right.
And thank you again. That's Chief Stan Smith, and we appreciate him coming on and talking to us. So we hope he has a good night. Tammy, I guess we can start now with you. Since we did a little bit of an introduction right there, I guess wherever you would like to start, if we haven't said anything up till now, because I know there's a lot involved with this, and that was maybe that you start from the beginning and just tell us first what happened and things like that, and of that nature, if you wanted to start there. But now, if you wanted to also, maybe if you wanted to tell our viewers, you could probably start telling about yourself and then about your dad and things like that, and start from there if you wanted to.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Yes, I'm Tammy. I'm Jack's daughter, and I have 2 sons that I was grateful that my dad was able to see. I do now have 2 grandsons, which would be his great-grandsons, which he did not have the opportunity to see and get to know. And I am his voice. I have to fight for him, and I can't stop at it. I got to keep doing it, and I've just got to keep fighting and getting his word, his story out there. The day that this happened, it was on a Saturday evening around 6 o'clock, and I got the phone call the next morning that my dad had been murdered. And I drove from Florida to Columbia, and when I got there, all his sisters and brothers were there. My mother was there, which they were divorced at the time, but my mom did come with me. And we had to sit around this big table with the detectives. And the one thing that really shocked me for them saying was that not only was he murdered by the hands of somebody, but that it could have been his gay lover. And it shocked all of us. That was not something that I was nowhere near expecting. I don't even think his brother or his sisters or any of them were. I still have a hard time digesting that. It's not something that I would like to know. But if it is, I've learned over these years that I've had to accept a lot of things. And I think that Chief Smith and I have finally worked through some differences. He knows that I am here to get the story out. He knows how much I appreciate everything that he's done. And I am glad that I have him to where I can call and ask him questions and do these interviews, because I need him. He has to be there for whatever may fall into place on my father's case. I need him for that. And I can only do certain things, but everything that I do has been approved by Sheriff Lott, by Chief Smith. I do not go anywhere over and aboard something that I know I'm not allowed, and I keep him posted on that. But to go back on Saturday, August 17th, 1996, at 6 o'clock in the evening, he was seen with a guy. We have no idea if he knew the man or where the man came from or anything else. Then the next thing they know, their 3 witnesses saw him, and he had been stabbed to death in his abdomen. And when they took him to the hospital to try and stop the bleeding, they couldn't. And he died on the operating table. And so since then, they thought at one point they had somebody that did it, and he was charged. But then he had also done another murder, and he got put in life prison for life for this other murder. And so because of that, all charges was dropped on him about 3 years afterwards. And unfortunately, I didn't know nothing about it. I sort of found it by accident about 6 years ago. And so that is how I then got in contact with Chief Smith, because Sheriff Lott contacted Chief Smith, letting him know that I was wanting to know about my dad's case. Was it open? What has been done? If anything had been done throughout this whole time. That part I don't understand, why when all charges were dropped on this person, why the case had not been picked right back up when everybody was alive, that they could talk to. And I just, that part of it I don't understand. and I don't think I never will, to why, that happened that way. But to move forward, I've had to sort of keep myself going straight with this whole thing, and whatever my answers have to come out to be to what happened to my dad and why he was at that boat, no matter what, I have to be able to take it all in. Back then in '96, I was so devastated, I didn't even know what day it was. And it was a very, very big shock to me. But I've had now all these years that I've been able to have it sink in, be prepared for whatever may come my way with it. It may not be something that I'd like, or it may not be something that I agree with, but needless to say,
you want answers.
Right. And so that's the way it is. And with the three witnesses, like Chief Smith said, they were able to do a composite. Well, this composite, we need a name for this person. There are a lot of illegals in Colombia, and where he was killed, where he was stabbed at the Rosewood boat landing, back then there used to be there's a lot of veggie and fruit market, and there was a big one there off of Rosewood Drive, and they had illegals come in and help with putting vegetables out and doing. Could one of them be the person? I don't know. The market has moved. Apparently, they've got markets all over Colombia now. I would love to be able to get pictures and send them to every one of the markets of his face, of his composite, to see whether or not if anybody can recall anything, if anybody may know who the person is, or maybe he looks like somebody. Just anything and everything to try to get something for Chief Smith to work with in order to get my dad's case solved. Because right now, with no DNA, no knife, nothing, it has been very difficult. But I just keep putting the composite out, and I just keep hoping that one day somebody can call and say, oh, well, he looks like whoever, and it could just be,
like you said, the right person, the right day, and there you have it. And I believe they are out there, and like Chief Smith said, now we have cell phones and we have emails and we have social media, and
yes,
they could have possibly told someone about this,
Right.
That's right.
Yeah,
There's always
yeah. And I have besides my Facebook page that I have for my dad, I also have a Twitter page for him. And so I have his story being put out all the time on Twitter and also on Facebook. I don't know of too many other sites that I could get on, story out on other sites. I don't know. I know that I have wanted to try to get his story on on one of these like cold case stories or 48 hours or whatever, but as of yet I've had no luck, and that's where I need Chief Smith, because he would be the one that could really help, because he has my dad's murder book. He has everything, and so for what he has, it would, a lot of times these shows, they want the police or the detectives to be a part of it and to be able to send in information that we would like to have this put on the show or whatever. And I'm finding that out. That's why I haven't been on a show yet, because most of them want the head detective, which is Chief Smith, to be able to get them the information to get it out there. And one day I hope I can get on something, because I think that his story needs to be put somewhere on television, not only just for Columbia, South Carolina, but for all over the United States, because we don't know if this man is still sitting in South Carolina. He could be, but then he could have just packed his little old Mary bags and he could have just taken off in another direction. Nobody knows. And so that's what's so difficult for me is the fact not having a name, not knowing who this person is, not knowing why my dad was there meeting this person. Was he going there thinking he was meeting somebody and then was there? I have no clue. It is, there is like, I could probably sit and ask so many questions, you know, why this, why that? But in a lot of them, there are no answers. And that's what I need is answers to why, to all this.
And yeah, because on that day he just walked out of his apartment. Now, were you able to get? Did they even look in the phone records and stuff like that to show who may have called?
Yeah, they did. They did. They pulled his phone records, and that day he lived in a condominium right there outside of the Army base, Fort Jackson, and he had, you know, different friends there. Well, one of them was a very old friend, family friend, and she didn't drive. And he was supposed to, because on Saturdays, the two of them would go pick up groceries and whatever, and my dad would always take her. Well, his plan was for that day to take this lady grocery shopping. But for whatever reason, he never made it there. They did search his phone records, and pretty much everybody that was there was his brother, the woman that he was taking, you know, grocery shopping, and a few other phone numbers. But from what I've been told, there was nothing there that stood out of him making any phone calls to be meeting anybody. He was supposed to have gone to lunch with his brother on Sunday after church. Other than that, apparently there's nothing in his phone records. So, and that's another thing. So if he didn't talk to somebody on the phone, then for sure, who is this person? How did this person just, you know, show up at the boat landing? And you know, how did all this come down? You know, since there was nothing on, there was no activity on his phone records that the cops could not use. There was nothing there.
And I'm sure in talking to people between him coming out of his where he lived at to that boat landing, I guess they checked in between in the places that he went. Yes.
Who, my father?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not understanding your question. One more time.
Did they check? I guess did they backtrack his steps from when he left to and then up until the Rosewood boat landing? Did they check all that too?
Is Chief Smith still on?
No, he's already dropped off.
Okay. From what I've been told, there was about a 2-hour time frame that they could not put together to where my father was, what he was doing, how he got to the boat landing. There was a time frame there from when he had spoken to his brother, he had spoke to the lady to take her grocery shopping. There was various people in which he had spoken to make plans for various things, but for whatever reason, somehow he ended up at the boat landing and did not end up going to church on Sunday with his brother and then going to lunch. Taking the lady across the street from him out to get groceries. So for whatever he had planned from Saturday and Sunday, something changed. Something happened. Someone somehow either got him there And then the person that he was supposed to be meeting, I mean, this is just my thought. Somebody else showed up, or I don't know how he met this person. I don't even know what he was down there for, because it's not a very nice place. I mean, there's picnic tables. People do launch their boats there. It's on the Congaree River, and you can take your boats out and, you know, go fishing, doing whatever. But I still don't understand what he was doing there.
And that's the big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. The biggest piece of the puzzle is why he was there, who was this person, and how we can find him.
Well, we'll keep sharing that poster with his information on it and all that we can to get this out there and keep it out there. I'm in the process of updating my website, so I can probably put it on there also.
All right.
Bless your heart, Tammy. I couldn't imagine. You know, I mean, I'm sure even today it's surreal and thinking it's all a dream, and then you're going to wake up and it's not a dream anymore. I wouldn't know how to process all of this.
Well, you know, I can tell you this, Paige. The morning I got called that this happened to my dad, I mean, I was like Speedy Gonzalez. My mom came, I got my sons together, and off we went. I just grabbed whatever I could, and off we went. When I got there at that table and listening to what these detectives had to say, and of course his brothers and sisters, myself and my mother are all saying, you're not talking about the right person, because, you know, no, he's not gay. No, you know, where are you getting this information from? Still don't know where they got the information from. I feel like he was put in a category. I've been told that. But the one thing that I would like to say is that when you have a loved one murdered and you're called for that murder and you have to go to the morgue and identify their body, to go and sit around this big table at the sheriff's office for questions and answers, and you don't get no answers all the time, but they tell you whatever, you know, they tell you the stuff that you need to hear from their side. And when the first person was caught because of another murder, and when he came in and they automatically charged him, I don't understand how they could have charged him when they have no knife, they have no DNA, they don't have anything. But they swore that this person was it. So for almost 10 years,
Tammy, I'm like you, though. Out of all of the DNA that they do have, I mean, I heard in that MP3 that I played, he had your dad's shirts. What else was it that he had?
Oh, he had shirts. He had, his shirts. He had a top shirt, a under T-shirt, and he had shorts, I believe. His tennis shoes is what I believe they said he had on. I would have to check it, you know. I would have to go back and check it. But, I mean, I don't know nothing about stabbing somebody, but I would think that if this person wasn't a professional and things got riled up for whatever reason and he just started stabbing him, I mean, I don't know. I don't know nothing about it because I've never done it. But I would think that this person would have had to cut themselves a little bit, you know, while they're stabbing. But I guess it's not possible, you know, that can happen. I don't know. Sometimes I just have so many questions that go around in my head, and this is one of them about the DNA. And the thing is, you know, they led me to believe for 15 years that this one person was it. And it wasn't until about 5 years ago when I went on the internet looking for a cousin of mine, when I discovered, when Google, you know, all these things come up, and here's Richland County Sheriff's Office cold case pops up, and here's my dad. No suspects found. Unsolved cold case, homicide, Jack L. Robinson, and his picture was on it. And I sat there, and it was like, am I really looking at this? I just went through this time like 15 years ago. You mean to tell me that they've now gone and dropped all the charges on this person, but they can't pick up where they left off? If they had done that, guess what? There would have been so many people alive. They would have been able to have taken off with his story like the Roadrunner. I mean, but I don't know what happened, and I don't know why they didn't do it. And nobody can give me answers for that. And I'm sorry, but I feel like there was a lot that fell through the cracks. And it wasn't until I found that and I started calling in to the sheriff's office. And, yes, I filed an ombudsman because I felt that I needed answers. And I was told, well, you do an ombudsman. That's what I did. And guess what? I got a few answers. All the people that was in the solicitor's office and the prosecutor's office, they're either passed away, retired, or moved on to another job or something of that sort. They're nowhere to be found. Not only that, but they also informed me that 3 years after Max was sentenced from the other murders, that is when all charges was dropped. Well, that really ticked me off because I had to keep in touch with the prison board or whatever. Plus, I had to keep in touch with the sheriff's office. I had to keep them up to date with my phone number, my address is like my mom's address. So if they couldn't get me, they could get my mother. But nobody contacted me. So these 15 years went by and me not knowing a thing until I discovered it on the internet and Richland County Sheriff's Office came up and there's my dad with his picture. And he's always usually the 6'1" on the first page. And very seldom does he move from that 6th spot on that page. And and it's on the cold case page. But that page, you know, there's times where I have to take a break sometimes because physically with medical issues that I have, it takes a toll on me. And I keep track of everything that I do because it's like I've told my son, when I die, and if this is not solved, guess what? One of you has to be their grandfather's voice like I am because there is nobody out there to help us. I'm the one that's having to do all this. I am very thankful for Chief Smith coming on tonight and talking and doing. I wish there was more that he could do. I'm hoping that maybe one day I can get on a show. My dad's case could get on a show, and I hope that when it happens, that Chief Smith will be right there by my side, and he will help to make sure that this happens. Because it's going to be 23 years, August 17th, 2018. And 23 years is a long time. If they can solve a case that was 30 years old, then they can solve my dad's case, which is 23 years old.
And that's
what I think.
And that's less than 30. We are coming down at the 10 till 9. Why don't we take a break? But again, if anybody out there has any information on the case of Jack L. Robinson, like we said earlier when we were talking to Chief Smith, you can call the Cold Case Squad at 803-576, I hope I get this right, 3037. Did I get that right or no? Let me look at it. If it's not, I'll go back and I'll change it if that's not it. And
that's
to
fine.
remain not, well, we'll put his information out there. Anyway, I'm sure I can't remember but 3037 is my last 4 digits of my phone number too, if that's the case. Ironic or not.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
I know it. I just noticed that. But if you want to remain anonymous, you can call the Midland Crime Stopper tip line at 1-888-CRIME-SC. Let's go into a break, Tammy, for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and
All right.
we'll go into the second part of this.
That'll be
All right?
fine. Thank
All right,
you.
so hang on. You're quite welcome, so hang on tight, and we'll come right back.
All right. Thank you.
I've been looking for a good time. I've been looking every day. I've been waiting for the sunshine. It's been coming my way. And it's been coming my way. I've been dancing at a hold down, loved to choose a fight with folk. I've been sipping on the moonshine, I've been telling dirty jokes, and it's been coming my way. Leaving, deceiving, relieving me anyway. I'm hard of hearing, believing the healing, it happens every day. Out a postcard, I could tell you all the news. I've been fighting off the demons, there's no way that I can lose. And it's been coming my way.
You are listening to the Paige Roberts Show on Intercom Radio Network. We are talking to Tammy tonight about her father's murder, Jack L. Robinson. It's a cold case. Wednesday, it is Wednesday, March 7th, 2018. In the very beginning of the show, we had Dan Smith who talked to us a little bit about the case and enlightened us, I guess, if you will. And so I will bring Tammy back in. It's a lot to process, so we'll get right back into it. And I want Tammy to have, we are 2 hours tonight, so yeah, it'll take us probably that and then some, Tammy, to get everything out that we need out, said and done and shared and what have you not. So, but, are you still with me?
I am. I'm here. Thank you.
All right. Well, so far, I don't know. I would just say keep plugging at it, and with all of us out here sharing information, and especially sharing the composite drawing that was sketched. Now, as far as the 3 witnesses, have you been able to talk to them yourself?
No, I have not. It was a girl and 2 guys. I've often wanted to ask Chief Smith if there would be any way that I could meet them and talk to them. But I don't know if I'd be allowed to. Because of the case being open, and that could be a possibility to why. Excuse me. Is because of the case being open, and they may not want me to talk to them. But I would love to talk to them, just to, hear that, because they did say that when my dad was coming at them, that they could hear him saying to this person, I will give you money. What do you want? I will give you money. Whatever, what do you want from me? And the thing is with my dad, he didn't carry money on him. He would have a few bucks on him or whatever, but he never was one to carry loads of money in his pockets, And so wherever this person came from, I don't know. And
but Tammy, who is to say that he might not have went to the boat landing with this person? Because you said there were a lot of Hispanics around that area, and who's to say that maybe he was just there, for serenity reasons, maybe just to go and, whatever it is he may have went for. And maybe that's when he ran into this person.
Well, I mean, it's very possible. I've been to Columbia, and I have lived with my grandmother for many years. When my dad would be, he was in the Air Force, and we would be stationed, and in between, we always went to my grandmother's there in Olympia. And all the years that I've been there, and my family being there, and none of us even knew that there was a boat ramp. There's a rock quarry, and on the other side, the back of the rock quarry, is this boat landing. And it used to be cut down because people could go down on the side of the riverbank and walk it, or you could fish or do whatever. But for my dad to be there, I don't know. I have a hard time with that. I don't know what he would be there for. I have a cousin. His name is Joel, and he and I have spoke several times on this matter. And he would meet him and my dad. He was more my dad's age, and they would meet up at the Rosewood boat landing because they've got picnic tables and all there. And they would just go and sit and, bull crap, I'll say, among each other and have a beer or whatever. But my dad never drank. He would have water, Sprite, or ginger ale, something of that sort, or maybe once in a while an ice cold Coca-Cola. But my father did not drink. He did not smoke. He did not do none of them things. But they would all sit around a picnic table and chitter-chat and carry on. They all went to school together there in Olympia. And my cousin Joel has told me many a time that they would go there, and when they would, the market would be closing. So as the illegals would be leaving the market, they would come down to the boat landing. And they said that there was one particular one that was always very, he would get to drinking, he would get to running his mouth, and he would try to start fights. And and my dad and his friends would have to get up, and they would have to leave and go someplace else to get away from them. And so my cousin Joel has said to me, Tammy, what what if it could be one of those guys that could have done this? You know, why is there not posters being placed at all of the markets in Columbia? They have opened up a lot of new markets, and that particular market that I'm speaking of, on Rosewood Drive, near where my dad was murdered, it was a huge market. I used to go there as a kid with my grandmother and my mother, and that's where we bought all of our fresh vegetables and fruits and everything. It was huge, and they had housing for them and everything. But it hasn't been done. Nothing's been sent to none of the markets. And I think what my next move may be is to go back to South Carolina, try and find where the markets are, do up a poster with the picture, and ask if I could please put this. And it should have been done a long time ago. There's a lot of things that should have been done a long time ago, and nothing was done. And I think when that person got that was charged for his murder, when they dropped everything, I think they dropped my whole entire dad's case, because there was a lot of people alive. If they had continued on with his case, they would have possibly caught somebody. And then on top of it, they never contacted me.
Now, was this before Chief Smith or there roundabout?
You talking about?
Was that before he took over, or when he took over?
Chief Smith did not take over until I got online looking for my cousin Jackie, and here comes my dad. Unsolved murder, no suspects found, homicide, August 17th, 1996. And they had a picture of him. Well, I immediately got on the phone because I'm sitting there dumbfounded. Like, what in the heck is going on? You mean to tell me that this person is no longer being charged? So if that's the case, then why wasn't anything started up? Why was he just sitting on a shelf rotting away with spiders that he hates spiders? That's my, thing. And, but they should have picked up on this case. I had to send out a letter. I had to get Sheriff Lott's permission to do anything. And he didn't really care for my the letter that I wrote him. But because there are the sheriff's office, this is their job. They are supposed to be investigating my dad's case. And they should have been doing it all along. And that's how I ended up coming in contact and getting Chief Smith, because that's who Sheriff Lott put me with, because he is head of the cold case division.
Well, it makes me wonder, why would he care if you sent a letter or not, even if your family member? You're just trying to
send a letter.
Send
a letter to who, Paige?
When you sent out the letter asking about your dad's case.
Oh, to Sheriff Lott, yes. He told me that, they have to do everything that they can to help the victims in hope to solve their case. So because of that, he could not stop from this case being not worked. So he had Major Smith or Chief Smith reopen it. And that's what's happened now. 5-7
right.
Is they reopened it, and they've got, and I just keep on trucking. I just keep on putting his information out there. I just keep hoping. That's all I can do. I had gone to a facility the other day, and the facility that I went to, it's for cancer, and they have for this group of people that helps people with cancer, and they made these bracelets, and it was $10, and I got it, And the reason that I got it, not only is it to promote and help from diseases, but on this little bracelet it says, keep fighting. I will never stop fighting. I will never stop. I have to back down sometimes because it overwhelms me. And then I get sick. And I've had, health issues. And so I've been trying to control my existence of, it can take you over, because you want answers so bad, because you want to know everything about the case. You want to know what's right. You want to know what's wrong. You want to know what's a lie, what's not a lie. You want to know why they didn't do things this way and they should have done it that way. You just keep on going with questions, and it drives you crazy. But like I tell my son, I keep track of everything. Like, I will print out your poster that you drew with your name and your information. I will put it in his file, my file that I have on my dad. Everybody I've talked to at every given second moment, I've got it. Because one day when I die, which I hope I can solve this before then, which would make me very happy, my dad would be at peace. I hope I would have a little bit more peace in my heart, knowing that maybe we could find this person. It gets you down sometimes, because especially when you're doing it yourself and you don't have no help from others.
Well, like I said, I couldn't imagine. And you having to wake up every day knowing that this happened to your dad, and that it's just not really grasping for straws, but wanting to know the answers to what, where, why, and when, which we know pretty much when, but we want all the other pieces of the puzzle to fit in here to where you can, So, but
well,
again,
when
if
it
anybody,
first happened, I was given a victim's advocate. I was given a person that was put to me to where if I had questions, if I needed anything, they were there to help me. Now, I don't have no victim's advocate. I am involved with Project Cold Case. Ryan has been a big supporter. He has helped me in a lot of ways. He has spoken to Chief Smith several times on my behalf. And really, they're my support. They're the support I have. And when we wrote our book, I gained a lot of support with others, like Lisa and Michael Sanchez's mother, and other people, Patty and others. And if you don't have some kind of support going through something like this, it's very difficult, because you're their voice, and you've got to get it out. And if nobody will help you to do it, you're on your own. And I just wish my dad could talk. Can sure flip his boat off my shelf. I wish he could talk and say, so-and-so did this, or give me signs or something. But that don't happen. So that's
you never know. You never know, Tammy. But you're listening to Intercom Radio Network and the Paige Roberts Show. Our call-in number is 646-668-8941. If you want to come call in and give us information, if you have any information on this case, call in tonight. If you feel you can talk to us, there's the call-in number. And again, you can call Chief Stan Smith at Cold Case Squad in South Carolina at 803-576. And again, I'll have to look this number up. I just don't know. 3037 is what I have. But and that's kind of ironic.
Right.
I think it is, and it's kind of ironic that that's my last 4 digits of my phone number. So we don't meet by accident, Tammy.
I'm sorry?
I said we don't meet by accident.
No, I've had a lot of good people come into my life under these circumstances. And one thing that has really helped me is Patty Lord with Project Cold Case. She has brought so much attention to me on a lot of things because I was very angry at a point. And yes, I had all rights to be, but at the same time, I had to really do some hard searching, and I had to realize Chief Smith is my connection. I have to have him in my life because when and if that one person calls in and says, I know what happened to Jack Robinson, I have to have Chief Smith to handle it. And so I have to, be on top of it. And he gives me reins. I mean, everything that I do by what they allow me to do. And I always keep them posted on everything that I do. And so far, I have not done anything that they have disagreed on. And, but my father, it was very difficult when I had to go to the coroner's office and I had to identify his body. That was extremely hard. I gave him an Air Force funeral, and that was very hard, besides the fact of how he died. And, he could still be alive today and being able to enjoy his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren. And, he would be a lot older, but it's still his mother died at 93 years old, so that could be possible that he could have lived longer, But I just wish somebody could look at the composite and they could come back and say, well, that is, whatever his name is. This is where he's at. This is what he does.
And maybe somebody has seen that, and now that we have the numbers out there that they can call, maybe they're sitting there thinking, should I call? You can remain anonymous if you want to, and even if you call into the cold case squad, I would think that they would also remain anonymous if you call Chief Dan Smith. You can do that, and there's also a $1,000 reward being offered, and you can call the Midland Crime Stopper tip line at 1-888 Crime SC. So there's plenty of places that you can call if you have information on the case of Jack L. Robinson in Olympia, South Carolina. So yeah. So where to from here, Tammy? What are your?
I beg.
We
beg
beg
anybody.
Yes, ma'am. And we never know, like Chief Smith said. We never know, like Chief Smith said. Somebody in our listening audience, you never know. Social media.
That's right.
Social media is packed. So.
Well, I hope and I beg, I beg and I plead that if there's anyone out there that knows the story of my father, Jack L. Robinson, at the Rosewood Boat Landing on August 17th, 1996 at 6 o'clock p.m., if anybody knows anything, any information, even just a little tidbit information, it would be very much appreciated.
Even if it's the reason why, he was there. If you know the reason why he was there.
Exactly. And you can call Crime Stoppers, South Carolina Crime Stoppers, Midland Tech Crime Stoppers. You can call the sheriff's office and get in touch with Chief Smith at Cold Case. And you can call anonymously.
And you can call my number, Paige Roberts at 706-224-3037. Now, don't let me get slammed with calls all at once.
Now, yes,
Well,
really.
it's out there anyway. So, but yeah, I won't answer probably if I don't know who it is. Leave a message and I'll call you back. No.
Yeah.
I should have
another.
Go ahead.
I would like to add this. My dad, not only was he 21 years in the Air Force and retired, my father was also in Vietnam, and he was also he worked for civil service out at Fort Jackson. He worked in the lab, and he knew a lot of people. I mean, on the base, people that would come in that were stationed there, and I just asked, somebody out there knows something. All you got to do is call. All you've got to do is tell what you know.
Don't
because
don't have to give your name. You don't have to give your name. So we want to encourage.
Yes. And and if there's anybody at Fort Jackson that knows something, because my dad he was friends with a lot of the doctors, and I mean when he would come to visit my first husband, my kid's father, and when we were married, he would come to Florida, and he would rent a condo on the beach for him and my sons to go swimming and have a good time with each other while my first husband and I were working. And he would come down for a week, 2 weeks at a time. He'd bring his two sisters with him. Two of them would come with him all the time. And so he loved coming to Florida and being with his grandsons and doing things, go swimming, take them to get ice cream, whatever they wanted to do. They had a good time. They enjoyed it. And as much fun as they did have, it was just taken right out from them. Somebody took their hand with a knife and stabbed him to death. Why? They just took him away from us. And 22 years, going on 23 is long enough. Something needs to happen.
Yeah, like I said, I couldn't imagine. And turmoil, I'm sure, with not knowing the reasons as to why this happened.
Right.
So, but like I said, we want to help in any way we can, and maybe if we have to come back on here, once or twice,
right,
again and again, and to get the message out there. If you find anything yourself and want to share again, we will do that also. So you have a platform now that you have a platform now that you can stand on. So.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
Now, where to from here, Tammy? What are your? Have you really sat down and thought about where to go from here?
Well, Paige, last year I had gone to South Carolina. It was the first part of August because I wanted a reunion done for him on the 17th. But I couldn't go then, so we went and we met Chief Smith. I got to interview with 5 different news outlets, and Chief Smith spoke. We were at the boat landing, and I got really pumped up because I felt that with the information that we had, with Chief Smith being a part of it, with the way everything went so smooth, so well, that he had made several comments, well, we could maybe run with this and maybe get it out, to other places through him being the chief. So I was really pumped up about it. But so far, nothing has really taken place as far as on their end. I keep him posted of everything that I do. It may not be right before I do it. After I do it, I'll call him and say, okay, I did this, this, and that. And he always tells me, Tammy, we know that what you're doing is okay. You always use everything that is allowed that came from Sheriff Lot, which I do. And I may make a poster here or there, but everything that I do has already been approved by them. And that is the way I have to work my dad's case. And as far as where am I going to go from here, I just keep hoping that other people will contact me and say, hey, we would like to get your story out there. Like, for instance, Michael with Unresolved, a very nice man, and he contacted me through Twitter. And he said, you know, I would really like to hear your dad's story. And he said, is there any way that we could speak? And so I told him yes. So him and I were on the phone, and, of course, I did all the talking. And he did an excellent job. I mean, he described the Congaree River. He described everything to the T of from the moment it happened, the moment he got there, all the way through to the moment that everything took place. And he did a very good job. This is the first time that I've really been on a podcast, and that was, well, that was the first time, and now with yourself or the radio station. And, going through, like you or Michael or whoever that will listen and that will help me, that is how I have to get his story out, you know, and because Facebook, we keep sharing to the same places, not that there cannot be that one person in one of those groups, but his story has to be put out there all over for somebody to hear it.
There are plenty of podcasts out there, Tammy. So we can help point you in that direction also. So that might be a good thing too.
Right. Yeah. At this point in time, Paige, all I can do is just keep doing what I'm doing. I don't know what else to do. I would love for my dad's story to be put on, like, the cold case, you know, that's on television through Discovery or something like that, because I think there was some way that his case could be put out there on TV to be told that there, you know, that there's people out there. Hell, I mean, it's been 23 years. People could have moved, so they could be living in other states. And if it was something that could be put on television for everybody to see, you know, then we would have another big chance of a possibility of that composite getting a name, finding out where he is, and get his behind to the jail, because I am fighting justice for Jack L. Robinson, my father. That is what I'm doing. I am fighting to get justice and to find out who this man is and get something done. I mean, I need help. I need something done to have this man found. And I know my voice is raising because I'm sorry. I get so frustrated.
No, that's fine. That's what we're here for. I think what you said earlier about going out to I can't even
market,
where you got
the
where you
got your market.
Yeah,
right.
where you get your fruits and your vegetables from. That's where I think you should get that photo, and that's where but you be careful when you go out there. But
normally what I do is I contact my cousin, and I go and stay with her, and because I've moved away from Columbia for many years now, so I would have to get one of them to take me and to help me find where all the markets are, because apparently there's new ones that have come up and they are scattered throughout Columbia. And so I would need to get the addresses of each one of them, take a flyer to see if if it could be posted up, you know.
Right.
And why the sheriff's office hasn't done anything like this, I don't know. They made a poster up for their cops that
right.
work the, what is those initials? L, lesbian, bisexual, those initials for all that. They have cops that are working those places,
right?
And they're
so
putting posters there. So why can't they put one at a veggie market where there is illegals that are working? You know what I'm saying?
LGBT, I think is what that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm sorry. I apologize if anybody's listening. I'm not up on these abbreviations, so I apologize for that. But I'm serious. They have a poster and they're taking it out to all these places and they're putting them up. Well, if they
have
take
you
the time
asked
to
them
do
that?
Huh?
Have you asked them that?
Yes. And they said, well, the next time you come, you should bring the posters and go and place them out to the market. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm already working this case, doing what I'm supposed to do. Y'all have made posters. Y'all have made posters for. What did you say?
I said Tammy is working this case, so you ain't got to tell her nothing you don't already know.
No. I don't know. I just keep praying that something is going to happen. Something has got to.
You know what, Tammy? I was saying something about Facebook earlier. You might could go on there and look up in the search box and put that in as a search in Facebook and see what you come up with. In fact, I can do that for you too. The market.
For what? Oh, for the veggie market. Well, see, on my dad's case, on my dad's page, a lot of the friends that are there are all people that he grew up with. He went to school with right there in Olympia. All of them, which almost everybody that is friends with him, I would say 80% of them are all people that I grew up with, my dad grew up with, friends that he knows from Olympia. And they always tell me, let me know when you're going to do something so we can listen or whatever it may be, you know. And they do. They support me a lot, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all the support I get from various people. And the Grief Diary book that we did, I developed a lot of support with doing that book. I'm not a writer, but all of us, there were 22 of us, we all told our story from our heart. And there was a lot of tears put in it also. And, you know, you don't think about it when you sit down and you have to write something out for the way it is. But I look at it this way also. With me writing down this story and me telling it, you know, in this book, it's almost like writing a story to my dad saying, look, this is what's happened. Now I need answers from you.
Right.
But I'm part of a family now that is very supportive. We're all supportive of each other because we're all in the same boat, and it's been nice. I appreciate it all, and I don't wish this on anybody, and it's a horrible feeling, you know, when you're supposed to die naturally. You're not supposed to die with somebody jabbing a knife in you and stabbing you to death. That, to me, is not right, you know. And
no.
So I just have to keep going, just keep fighting.
Well, like I said, maybe every few months or whenever you need to get something out, like Well, if you do the poster thing, I mean, we could help with that also. I mean, that's what we're here for, and that's what we want this platform to be used for, is for people like you that can come in and share with us their stories, like your dad's story, Jack L. Robinson. So, yeah, and if anybody would like to come on the show, they can email us at intercomradio@gmail.com or either send us a PM on Facebook if you too have a story that you would like to share with our audience. I mean, we're not just music. Usually I do music on Tuesday nights, but no, we're here for that also, and a lot more. So check into the show, and if you have something you would like to come on and share, I mean, by all means, come on and share. So, but it's,
well,
you know, it's
I appreciate it a lot. I said I appreciate it a lot for you allowing me to come on and us finally being able to talk and giving me this opportunity. Because it's not that I enjoy talking about it. I mean, it's not something that you want to have to do, but I have no choice. Well, I do have a choice, but my choice is that I have to talk about it, and I have to get it out there, and I have to have people listen, and I need people to support by sharing it. And I need the right person to come forward, whether, if there's 3 witnesses to come forward back again and say, look, this is also what I remember, and whatever it may be. Or if somebody was down there, because I know the last few times that I went, when I was doing interviews with Fernande Cleaver with Watch Columbia, the Fox station. I have met with him twice, and every time I have gone to that boat landing to meet with him and to interview with him, there is always somebody there, either sitting in a car or they're sitting in a van.
Mm-hmm.
What they're down there for, who knows? But there's always somebody down there, and it's a very creepy place. And, I mean, it's open. It's not like bushes all around, but so...
And this happened in broad daylight. So come on, people. I know there had to have been somebody that was around there when this happened. And there was 3 people. But we want the right people to come forward in this and help out. So, Yes,
we do. And, of course, since there's no DNA or the knife, they did come across 2 knives. A bunch of hunters were on the one side of the Congaree River, I guess where it attaches, and I guess there was woods on the other side of the river, and they hunt. And I guess these 2 hunters were in the woods where they can hunt, and they came across the knife. And so they contacted the sheriff's office, and they came out. And they were hoping that it was the knife. It's the knife that they killed my dad with. It's a long, like it's got this.
like a machete or something.
No. It's a knife that has the serrage, the edges to it, going up the knife, and it was a fairly. It's a fairly big knife, not huge, but I mean, it's not something that you can just carry lightly in your pocket,
Or something that you wouldn't carry with you every day anyway.
Exactly. And so, and for anybody at the hospital, at Moncrief Hospital, if anybody there remembers my dad, Jack L. Robinson, that was murdered, if anybody knows something from Moncrief Hospital, I hope that maybe one of them or somebody there could come forward and say that, they knew something, or maybe, they ran into him and my dad told them something. Whatever it may be, got to be somebody out there that knows something. And a little tip or a big tip or anything in between. anything would work to be able to get this solved. Because
give out your give out your information again, Tammy, and with the Crime Stoppers and with the Chief Smith, the contact information.
The what information?
The contact information, like I gave out a while ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll double check on that when we get done, and I'll send it to you. His information to get in touch with him. I'm not very savvy trying to pull it up on my phone and talking to you at the same time. I don't know. I can't do that yet.
I think he said 3037. Because I did have 3073, and then he said 3037. I just think that's still ironic that those are the last 4 digits of my phone number.
Oh. Uh-oh.
All right. Oh, well. It is what it is. So I know we have like 15, 20 minutes left. Is there anything else you would like to say, though? I think we'll go on and close out here shortly, and if there's anything you want to add before we close out, I would go ahead and add it now.
Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask me that I haven't answered or put out there?
I think that's about it. My thing was with the 3 witnesses. I mean, I just wonder how long did they not really drill, I guess, these 3 witnesses about information and what all they have by these 3 witnesses? I know they were able to draw that composite, but you got 3 witnesses, even though there's not any DNA. I mean, there's 3 of them, you know?
Right.
So
well, like Chief Smith said, this guy, I don't think was a professional. And why he had a knife, who knows why he had a knife on him to begin with. Walking around in khaki shorts and a golf shirt down there at the boat landing. And he has a knife. And it just so happens that he runs into my dad, they get in a fight, and he stabs him to death.
Well, we said acquaintance of this person. I was reading on Michael's where he done the unresolved, and I read in there where your dad had 2 pensions. But this person, if he was out at the boat landing, he wouldn't have known Jack had 2 pensions, so it's possibly somebody he knows.
Well, that's what the sheriff. That's what Chief Smith has been telling me. He said, Tammy, he said, I think that it's somebody your dad knows. I think, yes, it's very positive, that it could have been somebody that he knew. Could have been somebody else he was supposed to be meeting, and instead somebody else showed up.
Yes.
Now, I don't know, but, I don't know, but.
What about the lady that he would take to the grocery store?
She was an older lady, and my dad was 65. He had just got on Social Security. And in the condominiums that he lived in, he had a townhome across the way from him. This woman was a good friend of the family. All my family knew her. Her name was Ruby. And she didn't drive. So on Saturdays when my dad would go grocery shopping, he would take her along so she could do her grocery shopping. And it was planned for him and her to go grocery shopping. But there is a 2-hour window from where he had spoken to her that morning, plus he had spoken to his brother that morning, making plans for Sunday and making plans to take, for them to go grocery shopping. And he never showed up. And there is nothing on his phone line showing any odd numbers. So he didn't have a cell phone. So how it was worked out for him to meet this person, is this true that they did know each other? Or did he just go down there for the heck of it and ran into this person? I don't know. There's a lot of well, maybe he could be doing this. Well, maybe he was doing that. Well, we need the truth to what he was doing and what the heck he was down there for. And that the only person that can tell us that is the one that used the knife and stabbed him to death.
Right. Well, I would do like you said, and maybe talk to Chief Smith about these 3 witnesses, and well, in hopes that they are still around also. You know, I mean, I know this case was. Go ahead.
Well, one of them was in the military, and they had to do like a Sky type interview because he was overseas somewhere after it all happened. And then the other 2, they're all there. They all live in Columbia, and I guess Chief Smith has spoken to all 3 of them again, and they pretty much told them the same story again, even though it was going to be 23 years, ago. So they have spoken to them, but they tell the same thing. They have not changed one bit on anything that they have said. And if they would happen to hear this podcast, I would like to tell them, especially the woman or the girl that was there, that I appreciate very much, because she held my dad's head in her lap while trying to talk to him, ask him questions to try to get out what they could so they could tell the cops. And the ambulance got there pretty quick, and she was not able to get a lot of information from him. But I do appreciate them sticking around, calling the cops, her being there by my father and trying to help him. And I would like to let them know that. And I wish there was some way that I could meet them, with Chief Smith, and be able to tell them that, because if it had not been for them being down there, then there may not have been no witnesses. At least there was the witnesses got a drawing, and now we just got to get a name to the drawing.
Wow. Well, I feel for you, Tammy. Like I said before, I just don't know how. That's a hard thing to have to take every day in and day out, and not knowing the answers to it. But I do hope you find the answers that you're looking for. And like I said, we will help you any way we can, even if it's just pointing you in the way to other podcasts to tell your story. So, yes.
Okay. Well, I appreciate whatever you might have that could help me. I would appreciate it. I mean, this is the first time that I've done one of these. I did that one with Michael, but I didn't get to talk that much with Unresolved. He did a very good job the way he did it, and
yes,
and he did tell me that we were going to get back together again, so I could be more a part of his podcast. And but I've been moving, and so I haven't had a chance to connect back up with him. But now we're moved, and I can now start working steadily on it again. And but I appreciate anything anyone can do to help me and to help get my dad's case out.
We'll share. We will share. Keep. You can share anything on our pages, and you can, like your information you have been sharing is more than welcome on our Facebook pages, and so we'll keep doing that, and maybe we can help you do some more maybe we can help you do some more posters like that as well. So.
Right. Okay. Well, that would be nice. I would like to go to Columbia again. When we go through Columbia, or if I go, this last time I made a memorial at the boat landing. I don't know if it's going to be still there or not. They told me that sometimes mow and do, they just get rid of the stuff. But I'm hoping I hope they realize it's a memorial for a reason, and it's there for a reason, and I hope it's not taken down. And then when we go by my dad's funeral, or, his gravesite, I always stop in, and I always put fresh flowers, on his, in his little bowl that's on the container that you can put them in. And I go in and I talk to him, and so I still go and see him, and I just keep waiting for him to answer me one day.
Right.
I just wish he could talk to me. And I've even thought about finding I know. Well, I've even considered looking into a psychic, I do believe in psychics. I've been to psychics, but it's a matter of finding a good one and somebody that can relate to what, I'm trying to tell them. And I don't like seeing one and then giving them information. They need to ask me information. And I don't give them nothing. Because they're the psychic. They're supposed to be knowing what to do.
I believe in all that too, Tammy, and that would be a good way to go with that.
Well, I would love to find one that could.
Well, they're out there. There's plenty of them out there, but like you said, finding the right one and the best one to go with. That's going to be.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll go on and close out. That concludes tonight's show. We'll be back here next week as well. Next week is music, so tune in next Tuesday night. We have Mark Regula with the Ivory Tower Project. That's music, and Wednesday is the Relic Band. And that's music as well. So we are moving right along. We're booked up to all the way through July, so that's good. And I'm opening
that's
up.
Good.
I'm opening up Wednesdays, Tammy. So see people like yourself and others that want to come on can come on a different day. I'm probably going to open up the rest of the week because I'm getting backed up, but it's all good.
Right. Well, I appreciate it very much, Paige. I appreciate you contacting me, and we were able to get this scheduled.
Finally get a schedule in. I think we've been talking for quite a few months now, and
yes, we have.
And then we had to move.
I finally got moved, so that took a while. It was a difficult move, but we got it done, and I appreciate you having me on. And now I can't wait to listen to the video or to the radio station.
Right. Well, it should, the same link that you have. If you wait at least 15 minutes, you should be able to click back on it and hear it. Hear the syndicated part. So if you have the link, save the link because you can. It's still active, even though we've already done the show. You can still click on it and listen to it. So
okay.
Because
I like to listen. I like to listen back to it and then make my notes because afterwards, well, darn, why didn't I say this or why didn't I say that?
Right.
Well,
and I had a couple of things. I had a couple of things that I wanted to ask Chief Smith, but our mind kind of goes up and down when we're doing these kind of things. So, but we want to thank Chief Smith again for coming on and coming on the show with us and talking to us about your dad's case. So, like I said, we haven't other cases like. Not really like yours, but in other cases like this, we haven't had that kind of person that would come on and talk to us about a case like this. So we do want to thank him for that.
Yes, I will. Matter of fact, before the radio show started, I sent him an email and I told him I wanted to thank him ahead of time for coming on and speaking and helping me, with getting information out there. And so I did send him an email. And
yeah, because he didn't have to do that, Tammy.
Oh, I know, and especially during the week, and because like when I was there the last time, he and I spoke, and they had a cop that got shot and killed, and they had a funeral that day, and we were at the boat landing. I had 5 different interviews. He got all the interviews in, and then afterwards we went back to one of the sheriff's annex offices, and he and I sat down and spoke over some, the information, what we did that day. And then he had to leave and he had to go, to the funeral. And so tonight I was grateful that he was able to come on tonight and that there wasn't nothing called him away to where he was not able, to come on. And so I do appreciate that a lot with him coming on and answering questions and doing so.
We do too. Okay, well, we're going to close out now, and like I said, be back here next week. Just remember, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time is usually when we're on. I am going to start doing, if I can ever get myself together, we're going to start going live stream via Facebook. So once I figure it out, I need a master scientist. But, yeah, keep watching for that. I've been on a couple of times with live stream, and eventually we'll have it going to where we can have our guests on with us where you can see us too. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I would like that. That would be good. Because then people are asking questions and wanting to know, well, what about this or what about that? And,
right.
And
yes, they can join in the conversation. So, yeah, that helps us out a little bit, too. So, I'm working on it, so be watching. I just have to I just have to learn on my end how to go in and get that done. Okay, it's just me, so I'm learning, too. But, anyway, we will close out now, Tammy. I do thank you again for coming on. And
thank you.
We'll be back. You're quite welcome. We'll be back here next week, same time, same place. And thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Good show, hon.
Thank you, Kathy.
Good show, hon.
Hi, Sean. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. See you next week. And thank you again, Tammy. Have a good evening.
You do the same. You have a good evening.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
I've been looking for a good time. I've been looking every day. I've been waiting for the sunshine. It's been coming my way. And it's been coming my way. I've been dancing at a hold down, locked to the fight with folk. I've been sipping on the moonshine. I've been telling dirty jokes. And it's been coming my way. And me, is it leaving, deceiving, relieving me anyway? I'm hard of hearing, believing the healing, it happens every day. And it's been coming my way. I could write you out a postcard, I could tell you all the news. I've been fighting off the demons, there's no way that I can lose. And it's been coming my way. And it's been coming my way. And it's been coming my way.
At Outback Steakhouse, we're grilling up our newest creation. It's 1 part steak and 1 part ribs. 2 parts incredible. Only Outback can pair our tender center-cut sirloin with fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs with prices starting at $15.99. Try your ribs with our signature barbecue sauce or with our new dry rub or honey sriracha sauce. But hurry in, a combo with flavors this bold won't last long. Make dinner delicious tonight. Head to Outback Steakhouse at 3585 Atlanta Highway in Athens. Aussie rules. Get to Old Navy for the deal you've been waiting for all year. Flip-flops for just $1. That's right, flip-flops for the whole family for just $1. This Saturday only at Old Navy. Valid 6/23, limit 10, select styles, in-store only.